fellow bookworms to Tibbers Den. My name is Whitney, and today we have my December wrap up and the actual final haul from not only December but 2022. I know I did like a final haul video, but the last day of the month and the year, we ended up going across state lines to an even bigger city than what's around us. And of course, I had to get books. We hit two different thrift stores in that area, and then a little local used/new bookstore, like an independently owned bookstore. And so yeah, I did that haul, and I'm really pleased with what I got. So I'm not mad that I ended up squeezing in more books. But yeah, that I'm just so excited to share these books with you. So I think I'm gonna start there, and then I will get into my wrap up because December was just a good month all the way around. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with the one book I got at the little independently owned bookstore. So this one, when I was cataloging it, it wasn't coming up on Goodreads, and I was confused. So I googled it. This isn't even published yet. It's coming out in I think the end of February. But yeah, it's not even published yet. But it's called "It's the End of the World, My Love." It's by Alla Gorbunova and it's translated by Elina Alter. So this is the book, and it sounds so good. So definitely keep your eye out for this. So it is like Russian, but it says otherworldly forces, dark phantasmagoria, the horrors of the underground life, adolescence and rebellion, myth and fairy tale all swirl together in Alla Gorbunova's audacious and spectacular novel. Children, students, beggars, young poets. Alla Gorbunova's heroes and heroines live their lives intensely, experiencing the longing, joy, anticipation, and heartbreak of youth in 1990s St. Petersburg. But Gorbunova's interconnected episodes don't limit themselves to the realm of the everyday. As they move from harsh material realities to delirious dark fantasies, characters escape, decline, self-destruct, and transform. In vivid prose, she conjures a fragile and haunted society and renders it with frank and uncompromising tenderness. A stunning work of fiction, It's the End of the World, My Love, is a compassionate, terrifying, and rewarding book from an undeniable literary voice. Sorry, I can't talk. And so yeah, I'm really excited to have this, especially because it's not even released yet. So definitely a good find. So that's the only book I got from that bookstore. I mean, he had a good selection, but just nothing else that I was really interested in, or the ones that I was interested in were ones I already had. So that's all I got there. And then we visited the Savers and a Goodwill. And it's just nice to go in a different area because different areas will have different types of books that are donated. And I definitely hit the jackpot in the Goodwill. Savers, I found some ones that I was really interested, but the Goodwill, walking in, like we almost didn't stop because my mother-in-law is like, it's not a very nice Goodwill. But we decided to stop at the last moment, and I'm so glad we did because there were some books that have been on my want list that I was able to get, and just some authors and such that I am interested in that were there as well. So really happy with that. So first up, I got the Babysitters Club, which this is a super special edition number 3. And this is Babysitter's Winter Vacation by Anne M. Martin. This one's not in the best shape. There was tape here. I took the cover off when they took the tape off. And so yeah, not in the best shape ever, but still excited to have it. I never really read the Babysitters Club. I've watched some of the show, not fully, but I did watch some. But I'm still excited to add this to my Throwback Thursday collection. So it says every year, Stony Brook Middle School, the whole school gets invited to Leicester Lodge in Vermont for a week of winter adventure. This trip sure isn't like any other. A busload of little kids unexpectedly needs babysitters. Mary Ann uncovers a ghost in the lodge. Claudia and Stacy both fall in love with handsome French skiers. Christy is helping her team win the winter war. Like California, Dawn can barely stand up in her skates. And if it doesn't stop snowing, SMS may be snowbound until spring. So yeah, excited to have found that and add that to my collection. This one, I have a lot of this author, not a lot, a fair amount of this author, and I am interested in collecting more from her. This one is a series I've not read from this author. It's the Dollenganger series. I have like one of the later books in the series because I think there's like 6 or 8. I can't remember the exact number. So this is books 3 and 4. So it's If There Be Thorns and Seeds of Yesterday. I don't have the first two, but I'm definitely interested in getting them. And yeah, this is by VC Andrews, which she's passed away early on. So all the books you're reading from her later on are actually done by a ghostwriter, which that was something I learned this past year. So yeah, I'm just excited to have this in my collection now. So there are those. And then this one I saw. I wasn't actually looking for it, but when I saw it, I was like, yes, I'm picking that up. So it's Alex Trebek's like memoir, and so the answer is Reflections on My Life by Alex Trebek. And he was just, such a staple in households and such, and it has pictures, which are fun. So throwback pictures and whatnot, and it's just kind of his reflections and like the titles, the chapter titles, like kind of thing, is like you know Jeopardy inspired. So what is the Nickelback range, and things like that. So or who is. So that's really really cool. And so I'm excited to give that a read because, like I said, he was a staple in people's households. So there is that. Then let's see here. I found this one by Glenn Beck, The Christmas Sweater. So I read The Immortal Nicholas. I have that one by this author and really enjoyed it. I read that not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before. And so I saw this and I was like, I enjoyed his writing, so I might as well get this one for next Christmas. So is basically when Eddie was 12 years old, all he wanted for Christmas was a bike. Although his life had gotten harder and money tighter since his father had died and the family bakery closed, Eddie dreamed that somehow his mother would find a way to have his dream bike gleaming beside their modest Christmas tree that magical morning. What he got from her instead was a sweater, a stupid, handmade, ugly sweater that young Eddie left in a crumbled ball in his room. So, it goes on, but that's the gist of it. Gist of it is that he wanted something and he wasn't able to get it. And I really want to read this because when I was younger, we didn't have a lot of money, and I remember I went to like this youth retreat thing, and everybody was talking about what they got for Christmas, and all I had gotten was my dog Liberty. She was a puppy at the time. She was a puppy, but that's all I got in it. But it was something I was so excited for. I'd always wanted my own dog, and everybody's like, "Well, what else?" And that kind of made me sad because like I don't need anything else and we didn't have money for anything else. So I think this is one I'm gonna really enjoy as well. And then this is one that was on my wish list, so I'm happy. I've been wanting to read it since it came out because I like this actor, and it's Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. And I love her. I think she's so funny, and so I'm excited to give this a read as well, because I like her, and so I'm excited to read her memoir. Then this next one is an author I haven't tried yet, and I'm excited to. This is actually part of the it's like a companion to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and this is by Susanna Clarke. And so this is The Ladies of Grace Adieu and Other Stories. And so it says Susanna Clarke returns with an enchanting collection, bringing with all the ingredients of good fairy tales, petulant princesses, vengeful owls, ladies who pass their time in embroidering terrible fates, endless paths in deep dark woods, and houses that never appear the same way twice. The heroines and heroes who must grapple with these problems include the Duke of Wellington, a conceited Regency clergyman, an 18th century Jewish doctor, and Mary, Queen of Scots, as well as Jonathan Strange and the Raven King. The Ladies of Grace Adieu and Other Stories introduces readers to a world where charm is always tempered by eeriness and picturesque comedy is always darkened by the disturbing shadow of magic. So, I haven't read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It is one I'm interested in, but when I saw this, I was like, "Yep, picking that one up." So we have that one as well. And then this one is one I've been interested in, and it's The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I've heard mixed things about this, but it is one I've been wanting to give a try, and so now I can. So it says, hidden in the depths of 18th century London, a secret apothecary shop caters to the unusual kind of clientele. Women across the city whisper of a mysterious figure named Nella who sells well-disguised poisons to use against the oppressive men in their lives. Nella's dark world is no place for her newest patron, a precocious 12-year-old girl named Eliza Fanning. But their unexpected bond sparks a string of consequences that echoes through the centuries. 200 years later, aspiring historian Carolyn Parswell discovers an aged apothecary vial in the River Thames. As she is newly grappling with the searing betrayal of her husband's infidelity, a curious research project is exactly the distraction Carolyn needs. But when she discovers the link between the vial and London's long unsolved apothecary murders, Carolyn's upended present soon collides with an explosive history, binding her fate to Nella and Eliza's in a stunning twist that transcends the barrier of time. So, yeah, I'm excited to give that one a try. I think I might like it, even though, like I said, it has had mixed reviews. The next one is, um, I have, I read the Harry Potter books when I was younger. I still have my collection there. And I never wanted to buy this one like outright, but I saw it at the store and I am interested in giving it a try because like I said, those, are something that I really enjoyed in the past. And it's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So parts 1 and 2 of the play scripts. So this is based on an original story by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany, and Jack Thorne, and it's a play by Jack Thorne. So this came about, I think, in 2016 or something like that. And so, yeah, I'm interested since I found it at the thrift store in giving it a try. So, and it can go with the other books that I have for that. And let's see here. So I think that's all I got from Savers. And then the next books I got from, or those are from Goodwill, sorry. The next books I got from Savers. So they do a deal where you buy 4, you get the 5th one free. So I did that. And some of them got a really good deal because they didn't have stickers. So they were just 99 cents, which is fantastic. So first up, I got Stranger in My Arms by Lisa Kleypas. So I believe B from Mama Needs to Read Romance, I don't know who else I would have heard it from, was talking about this one and how, you know, her and her husband didn't have a very good relationship. And then something happens to him. And when he comes back, he's like this different person. So I saw this and I was like, yep, picking that one up. So it says, Lady Hawksworth, your husband is not dead. With these words, Laura's life is turned upside down. Her unhappy, loveless marriage has ended when the Earl of Hawksworth was lost at sea. But now a man stands before her, virile and powerful, who says he is her missing husband, revealing secrets that only he would know. While this dark-eyed stranger closely resembles the Earl, he is as attentive and loving as Hunter was cruel and cold, promising to make Lara his wife once again in every way. With every beat of her heart, she aches to believe that this remarkable man is who he claims to be. But is he truly the rake returned and reformed, or is Lara being seduced by a cunning impostor? So, yeah, I'm excited to have that one. Like I said, I've only read one Lisa Kleypas so far. B and I are going to be reading the second in the Friday Harbor series in January, and then I have a little collection ready to go and continue to read after we read that one. And of course, I'll finish up the Friday Harbor series. There's 2 more. There's 4 books total. So the next ones I got. So I've been working on Iris Johansen. At this point, I'm happy with what I got. I got all her like suspense thriller books and some of the. She initially started as a romance author, which I didn't know until recently, and so I got some of those books as well. and I'm pretty happy with what I got. But I saw these two, and I was like, I can't pass that up. So first is part of the series that I have 6 books from. This is later on, so this is book number 15, and it's the Sedekin series. And so this is Blue Skies and Shining Promises. And so in this one, you have when she slipped into Cameron Bander's hotel suite, disguised in veil and harem costume, Demita Shaughnessy was determined to force the powerful executive to help her find her mother, Lola Torres, who the world knew only as a glamorous sex goddess. But the Bronze Panther Demita, surprised in her, oh, sorry. I don't know. My brain malfunctioned there. So let me start that. But the Bronze Panther, Demita surprised in the darkness, was not at all what she expected. He made her breathless, his eyes gleamed with steamy sensuality and a touch of mischief, and his lips taught her what no man ever had, that she was a woman of flesh and desire. Cam's mouth burned her, his fingers caressed the warm satin of her skin, and Demita had no choice but to follow him, deep into the Arabian desert, and finally to the wild outback he called home. When a desperate revenge endangered the woman he loved, Cam grew as ruthless and brutal as the raw land he'd endured. But could Demita believe that his promise of love, once given, would be kept at all costs? So, very romancy synopsis there, but I do like Irish Johansen, so hopefully that one won't be too cringy. And this one sounds a little cringy as well. Like I said, I more like this author because of her suspense thriller books. But we shall see. So this one is This Fierce Splendor. And this one is part of the Delaney dynasty. So I don't think I have any books from that series. So Scottish beauty Elspeth McGregor travels to Hell's Bluff to hire Dominic Delaney to lead her to the magical lost city of Cantalon. But at first he refuses. The last things he needs is to join a virginal scholar on a dangerous quest. But Elspeth's fiery will, coupled with her silky hair and milk-white skin, prove irresistible, and Dominic acts, first with angry lust, then with a searing yet tender passion that brands her eternal soul and bonds them both to a heated and turbulent future. Through wonders and tragedy, across the untamed splendors of Arizona and Mexico, Elspeth and Dominic draw closer to their dual destiny, to experience the dark mystery and the magnificent riches of Cantalon, and to fulfill the promise of lasting love and the birth of a bold family dynasty. So there is that one. Then this one sounded like one I would enjoy. It's a Christmas book, so probably we'll save it for next Christmas. And it's called The Christmas Pearl by Dorothea Benton Frank. And I like this one because it has an elderly protagonist, which I thought was great. So, still spry at 93, Theodora has lived long enough to see her family grow into an insufferable bunch of truculent knuckleheads. Having finally gathered the whole bickering brood together for the holidays at her South Carolina home, the grand matriarch pines wistfully for those extravagant, homey Christmases of her childhood. How she misses the tables groaning with home-cooked goodies and the over-the-top decorations. Those long, lovely fireside chats with Pearl, her grandmother's beloved housekeeper, and the closest confidant. These days, where is the love and the joy and the peace? But this is, after all, a magical time. Someone very special has heard Theodora's plea and is about to arrive at her door with pockets full of Gola magic and enough common sense to transform this Christmas into the miracle it was truly meant to be. So, I forgot to take the sticker off, which stickers drive me insane, so I'm really surprised I missed that. But yeah, that should be a fun one for next Christmas. And then this is a classic. So I was looking for books to. I needed 2 more books to get another. I had um, 8 books, so I already had one for free, and I needed 2 more to get another one free. So this one I spied in the children's section, and I do enjoy The Secret Garden, so I thought I'd pick this one up. And it's A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And I don't think I ever actually read this one. I did read The Secret Garden, but alone in a new country, wealthy Sarah Crew tries to settle in and make friends at boarding school. But when she learns that she'll never see her beloved father again, her life is turned upside down. Transformed from princess to pauper, she must swap dancing lessons and luxury for hard work and a room in the attic. Will she find that kindness and generosity are all the riches she truly needs? And I don't know if I've ever seen the movie adaptations. I think I might have, but I don't know for certain. And this next one, again, I was just looking and it caught my eye. So it's We the Animals by Justin Torres. And so in this groundbreaking debut, Justin Torres plunges us into the chaotic heart of one family, the intense bonds of three brothers, and the mythic effects of this fierce love on the people we must become. So that's about all uh, the synopsis you get, but the little blurbs from other people and such praising it sounded like this would be a pretty enjoyable read, and it's really short, so I picked that up as well. This next one is one I had checked out from the library and read and really enjoyed it. It is a cozy mystery, which aren't my favorite, but this one has this dog is like the narrator of the story. And I loved it, so I went ahead and picked it up. It's the first one in the Chet and Bernie mystery series, and it's Dog on It by Spencer Quinn. So Chet, the wise and lovable canine narrator of Doggone It, and Bernie, a down on his luck private investigator, are quick to take a new case involving a frantic mother searching for her teenage daughter. This well-behaved and gifted student may or may not have been kidnapped, but she does definitely gotten mixed up with some very unsavory characters. With Chet's highly trained nose leading the way, their hunt for the clues takes them into the desert, to biker bars and other exotic locales, until the bad guys try to turn the table and the resourceful duo lands in the paws of peril. Spencer Quinn's irresistible mystery kicks off a delightful new series that will have readers panting for more. And yeah, I just love this one so much that when I saw it, I was like, I'm definitely picking that up because I was planning on trying to get a copy for myself. So there's that one. And then this one caught my attention. And initially it caught my attention and I didn't realize that it had the autism rep that it does. So when I saw that, it was like doubly, yes, I'm definitely getting this one. So it's Songs of the Gorilla Nation by Don Prince Hughes, and it's my journey through autism. So this one says, in this elegant and thought-provoking memoir, Dawn Prince Hughes traces her personal growth from undiagnosed autism to the moment when, as a young woman, she entered the Seattle Zoo and immediately became fascinated with the gorillas. Having suffered from a lifelong inability to relate to people in a meaningful way, Dawn was surprised to find herself irresistibly drawn to these great primates. By observing them and later on working with them, she is finally able to emerge from her solitude and connect to living beings in a way she had never previously experienced. So, really, really excited to have that one. I cannot wait to read it. Then I saw this one again, was just trying to add more books. I think like the last two children's books I got because I just needed two more books, but this one I did get because I was trying to get that fifth one free. So this is Native American Literature, has a brief introduction and anthology by Gerald Weisner, and the general editor is Ishmael Reed. And so it just has a bunch of different stories by Native American authors, and then a bunch of poems as well. So I want to read more like that, so I went ahead and picked that up. And then this author, I did read for my ABC Author Challenge. I read The Orchid House by this author. Her name is Lucinda Riley. So when I saw this one, I really enjoyed The Orchid House, and I was like, I'm interested in trying more. And it's called The Butterfly Room. So I'm excited to have this one. It says Posey Montague is approaching her 17th birthday, still living in her beautiful family home, Admiral House, set in the glorious Suffolk countryside, where she spent her own idyllic childhood, catching butterflies with her beloved father, and where she raised her own children. Posey knows she must make an agonizing decision, despite the memories the house holds, and the exquisite garden she has spent 25 years creating. The house is crumbling around her, and Posey knows the time has come to sell it. Then a face appears from the past. Freddie, her first love, who abandoned her and left her heartbroken 50 years ago. Already struggling to cope with her son Sam's inept business dealings and the sudden reappearance of her younger son Nick after 10 years in Australia, Posey is reluctant to trust in Freddie's renewed affection, and unbeknown to Posey, Freddie and Admiral House have a devastating secret to reveal. So, yeah, if it's like the Orchid House, I know I'm going to enjoy it. So I got that one as well. And then, let's see here. The others I've already talked about. I did include it at the end of my last haul video. I did a final Pingo book haul too after I had already recorded it, so I just inserted a little thing showing you guys what I got. So I'm not going to show you guys those again because they're included in the last video. So that is it as far as the books that I hauled. Now, I know that was a longer portion, so let's go ahead and get into the books I read, so my December wrap up. So I had a lot of books on my December TBR. I can't even remember how many. Let me look here. So for December, I initially had 33 books that I wanted to read, and I ended up reading 21 of them, plus 4 stories that were part of the books that have anthologies in them. I read 4 of those stories in the anthologies. So we'll start with the ones I did not get to that are rolling over to January, and then we'll go into the ones that I did read. So first up is 2 from my ABC Author Challenge that I did not get to, and then 1 I did not complete. So first up we have Eve by W.M. Paul Young. So this is my Y author, and I haven't gotten to it at all. So this one is rolling over to January. On a mysterious island between our world and the next, a young woman washes ashore, broken and barely alive. John, the kind collector who finds her, enlists the aid of healers and scholars, and they soon discover that her genetic code links her to every known race. No one would guess what her survival will mean to all of humankind. No one but Eve, mother of the living. In bold, unprecedented exploration of the creation narrative, the story of Eve is true to the original text and centuries of scholarship, yet with breathtaking revelations that challenge traditional beliefs but about who we are. As the shack awakens readers to a personal, non-religious understanding of God, Eve frees us from the faulty interpretations that have corrupted human relationships since the Garden of Eden. Thoroughly researched and exquisitely written, Eve is a masterpiece that will inspire readers for generations to come. So, yeah, definitely planning on. These will be my first reads before I get to my actual January TBR, because this is part of my ABC Author Challenge and I want to get it completed. So there's that one, and then the last one, which, like I said, I do have one that's partially read that I need to finish. But my Z author is Who is the River? Getting Lost and Found in the Amazon and Other Places by Paul Zallis. And this one sounds fun. So, when Paul Zallis embarks with Tano, his longtime friend and traveling companion, on a month-long boat trip into the Amazon River basin, their goal is to find pyramids rumored to exist deep in the jungles. With their German guide Kurt Gluck, a 40-year veteran of expeditions in South America, has apparently seen, which their German guide has apparently seen. Leaving the hot congestion of Manas, Brazil behind, the trio moves up the Rios Negro and Padari to a remote area near the Venezuelan border where Indians are said to be armed with military weapons and, according to local lore, to be in contact with people from the stars. The trip grows increasingly dangerous, humorous, and convoluted as Gluck provides a loony-themed song, whistling the daring young man on the flying trapeze over and over while consistently confusing the words who and where. When the trio gets terribly lost, which is often, he asks again and again, who is the river? So, yeah, I'm excited to give that one a try too. And then, let's see here. the last one that I didn't actually officially add to my December TBR, but I've been wanting to reread it, and so I'm planning on rereading it in January now, is My Sergey, a love story by Ekaterina Gordieva with E.M. Swift. So I reread this last December, and I really wanted to get it to it this December again, but I wasn't able to. So this one, I'm gonna finish up my ABC Author Challenge, read this one, and then I'll jump into um, the rest of my actual January TBR. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and do this one. So the one I need to finish up is A Case of Two Cities by. So Q's are pronounced CH. So Chai Xialong. I looked it up before, and I keep just every time I see it, I can't because the way it's pronounced doesn't match the way it looks. So anyway, by this author right here. Sorry for butchering the name. In this one, you have an inspector with the Shanghai Police, Chen, and he's assigned to a high-profile anti-corruption case. And then he's also a poet, and he gets sent to America as part of the Writers Guild. And the person he's investigating is currently in the U.S. So I have just over 100 pages left, like 113 pages left, and I am enjoying it. It's just taking a bit of time, so I'm gonna finish this up hopefully this evening as I'm filming this, but maybe not until tomorrow. We shall see. So gotta finish that one up. Then I'll put these ones down. As far as books that I partially read, so these, well, actually, I have. Let me do these two because these are partially read, and I am planning on finishing them in January. So we have Winners by Danielle Still. I read about 74 pages of this. It's not terribly long, like it's just over 300 pages. So I do want to finish this one up. And then I started Little Women, and I read about 100 pages of this. So I have about 335 pages left. And yeah, really enjoying this one so far. So I can't wait to finish this one up as well. So that's all the ones that I plan on rolling over and finishing up in January. So that definitely adds to my already large January TBR. The ones that I read partially that I'm not planning on continuing is Christmas Journeys. So I read A Man to Live For by Emma Richmond and Yuletide by Catherine George. I read those two. I did not read Mistletoe Kisses by Lindsay Stevens or Christmas Charade by Kay Gregory. And so, yeah, I'm just going to save those for next year since I didn't get to them. But I did read the first two in this anthology set. And then I started Christmas Bells of Georgia. So this is a 4-in-1 collection, but it's kind of a collaboration. Like each author is writing their own story about a specific sister, but the stories all come together in the end with like ending by the first author, which is Jeannie Smith Cash. Then you also have Rose Allen Macaulay, Jerry Odell, and Deborah Ulrich. So the premise is you have these four sisters, and they were adopted at birth and separated, and now they each get a letter. They're gonna inherit the Georgia estate, so they each get a letter, and they're supposed to come, and then they have to spend Christmas there in order to inherit and whatnot. So initially you have Holly. She didn't know she was adopted, and so she learns this, and then she's feeling very confused, and that's the one I read. Didn't particularly enjoy it. And then I didn't read any of the other ones. So you have Carol, who's college and she rushes home, and then Star, she's lost like her parents, her boyfriend, her job, and so she doesn't really believe that the letter's real. And then you have Noelle, who's always known she was adopted, um, and she's always loved the foreman on her father's ranch, but he hasn't reciprocated her feelings, so she's thinking it's time for a change anyway. And then, like I said, G.D. Smith Cash ends up writing an epilogue at the end that kind of ties it all together. So there's that one. I'm not planning on continuing that one either, at least not this year. Like I said, I'll probably do that next year. And then a Prairie Christmas collection. These have 9 historical Christmas romances from America's Great Plains. So I ended up only reading one of these. So I read Take Me Home by Tracy Bateman. It was only 54 pages, and I absolutely loved it. Like, so, so good. Then you have One Wintry Night by Pamela Griffin, Image of Love by Joanne A. Grote, The Christmas Necklace by Marion Linger, A Christmas Gift of Love by Darlene Meinrep, God Jewel by Tracy Peterson, Circle of Blessings by Deborah Rainey, Christmas Cake by Janet Spaeth, and Colder Than Ice by Jill Stengel. And again, I'm not really planning on continuing this year, even though I adored the first story, but I am planning on reading this next year for sure. So there's that. So those ones aren't going to be continued. Next, we have the two I DNF'd. So first, I DNF'd Faithful by Alice Hoffman. This one, I only read like the first chapter, which was like 30 pages. And the writing style I didn't particularly enjoy, and the turn that the story kind of took like right away I didn't enjoy. And so I just decided I'm not going to continue that. I was trying to kind of force myself through that first chapter. I like the idea of the book, I just don't like the execution. So that was DNF'd, and I'm gonna unhaul that because I just did not enjoy it. And the other one I was so excited for, but again, the writing style was just so choppy and not cohesive at all and very confusing. And it's An Echo Through the Snow by Andrea Thalasinos. And basically, this woman adopts this husky who's been neglected and such, and gets into dog sled racing, and then she ends up learning this history of the Chukchi people, and it kind of goes back and forth between her story and then this Chukchi family. So I had high hopes for this one, and I just was not like, it was not cohesive at all, and it was just confusing. I read the first two chapters, which was only 24 pages, but I couldn't do more than that. So I'll likely unhaul this one. I'm still kind of on the fence whether I should try to push through more, but with December being such a busy month, I was like, I'm not doing it at this point. And I don't know. I really did not like the writing style, so I don't know that I'll finish that up or not. If any of you have read that, I mean, I doubt it, but just in case, if you read it, let me know like if it's worth it to push through or not. And then the rest of these books I did read, so really, really happy with what I got accomplished. So this one, actually, this one I only read the first story in this. So this is First Snow by Nora Roberts. It has A Will and the Way, A Will and a Way, and Local Hero. So I just read A Will and the Way. I did not get Local Hero read. And so that was 230 pages on this one. And A Will and the Way, Pandora McVee's life is tied up in knots. In order to respect her Uncle Jolly's last wishes, she is stuck spending Christmas isolated in the Catskills with Michael Donahue, the co-beneficiary of her uncle's will. Jolly was a matchmaker to the end, and apparently for some time beyond. The infuriating Michael is hard to live with, but what's harder still is not falling in love with her nemesis. And this one kind of has like this mystery element, like kind of a cozy mystery element to it, which again, not my favorite, but it's Nora Roberts. I love her, so I did enjoy it. Um, the whole thing with this one, there's one other of her books that she did this with too, like they're cousins essentially, but they're like distant cousins, so there's nothing wrong with them getting together, but just the reference that they make, calling each other cousin and such, it just kind of icks me out. um so yeah, I did read that one. A Local Hero, I plan on reading at a different point in time. I'm still working my way through all the Nora Roberts books, rereading what I've already read, and reading the ones I haven't read. And A Will in the Way and Local Hero are both ones I haven't read, but I am excited to read A Local Hero at some point. And I really did enjoy A Will in the Way, because they get, you know, the Uncle Jolly leaves the estate and everything, like all his businesses and everything, to Pandora and Michael, and the rest of the family is not happy about that, and they have to spend 6 months at the estate in order to inherit it. Otherwise, it does revert to the other families, and so the other family is not deserving of it, so they're kind of trying to stick it out, and somebody's trying to sabotage them, and it ends up taking a deadly turn. And so they're trying to figure out which family it is that is sabotaging them, and then the kind of whole cozy mystery type thing comes in at the end, when they're trying to set the family up to figure out who done it. So really was quite fun. It was just that cousin aspect that was a little bit ick to me, even though they're not, like, the bloodlines are very distant. Like, it's fine. Anyway, the next one, I'm kind of going backwards. So I finished, First Note fairly recently, and I'm going backwards through the list. The next one I finished was The Cat Who Came Back for Christmas by Julia Romp. And I really, really enjoyed this one. This is nonfiction. And so Julia's 9-year-old son, George, is autistic. Quiet and withdrawn, he appeared lost in his own world. Then one day, a small black and white stray cat appeared in her garden, and George's face lit up. George bonded with Ben and began to open up to his mother as well. For 3 happy years, the trio was inseparable, and George made remarkable progress. Then disaster struck. Ben went missing and George regressed. The weeks turned into months and Christmas was fast approaching, but on December 21st, Julia got a call from a family more than 50 miles away, which finally offered a ray of hope. And yeah, just so heartwarming. And Julia, she's talking about her struggles. And what I really liked about this one, she really struggled to get George diagnosed, and everybody just kept telling her he was naughty, and it's kind of her fault because she's a single mom and such. And that frustration, and just growing pains in general as a mother, but let alone having a child with special needs and such. And so you really see that struggle for her. But what I like, because there's kind of this disconnect between people who are autistic and parents of autistic children. There's this big disconnect in the community for sure, I would say. And so I liked her because you kind of see her side of it, but she also, like, there were certain schools she was looking into when George got older, and she was like, I knew that wasn't right. Like, there was this one room, what she describes, where it was all padded, and this is where we come to restrain them and such. And she was just like, I'm not causing George that kind of pain. And so I really appreciated that, and you kind of got to see it from her point of view as well. So this one was a really, really good read, and I really enjoyed it. So then was I finished this actually a while back. We read this the second week in December, but I read this was my buddy read with B at Mama Needs to Read Romance. So Christmas with Holly, which was originally published as Christmas Eve at Friday Harbor, but then they made it into a movie and republished it as Christmas with Holly. So this is by Lisa Kleypas. So in this one, you have Holly, and she loses her mom and has to go live with her uncle. And he ends up moving in with his brother Sam. And so it's Mark. Sorry, I couldn't think of his name. So Mark gets becomes Holly's caretaker, but he moves in with Sam, so they're kind of raising her together. But Holly kind of wants a mom for Christmas, and yeah, he ends up meeting Maggie. The names are gonna elude me, but yeah, she ends up meeting Maggie, who runs this toy store, and Maggie kind of has her own baggage, and just a really kind of heartwarming, moving story. It is pretty short, so the characters aren't as fleshed out as they could have been, but it was just a heartwarming story, especially to read at Christmas time. I really liked Maggie as a character. Mark, I had some issues with him. That I didn't like, but he kind of redeems himself by the end of it. So yeah, the only thing I would say about this one is I wanted more. I wanted more depth to it because I really did enjoy the characters and the atmosphere and everything else. And I cannot wait to read the second one, which is Rain Shadow Road. We're going to be reading that one in the second week of January and reading it together. So really excited for that, and then to continue on with this series as well. So that one wasn't part of my 24 days of Bookmas, but I did read it. Then we have one of the Heartland special editions, A Holiday Memory, by Lauren Brooke. And so in this one, you have Amy, and she's reflecting back on her last holiday that she spent with her mom. And so it's kind of a reflection back, and again, really, really enjoyable. I love the Heartland series, so then we had Christmas Magic by Annette Broderick, and this one was sent to me by mistake. I wasn't thinking I was going to enjoy it. I thought it was just going to be this little Christmas book that was kind of not well written. I actually really, really did enjoy this one. Again, it's short, so there's not a whole lot of depth to it, but what's there was really enjoyable. So you have Natalie Phillips, and 6 years ago, she ends up leaving, and she leaves behind the man she loves, Tony D'Angelo. Now she's back home after 6 years away, and it's Christmas time again. And she runs into Tony and meets up with him, and they kind of reconnect. And she finds Christmas magic with Tony all over again. So, actually, really, really good second chance romance. For as short as it is, I was pleasantly surprised. Then we read a Thoroughbred Super Edition, Ashley's Christmas Miracle by Joanna Campbell. In this one, Ashley and Mike are expecting their first child. A kick sends Ashley to the hospital, and she's kind of in and out of it. And why she's kind of out of it, she's dreaming of her child and her child's future. So it's Ashley dreaming, but it's told like this is really happening. And so you have I forget the child's name, but you have when she's 10, 13, and 16. And it goes through like what she's her life at those times, even though like I said it's Christina is her name. Um so yeah, I think this is gonna be it was pretty enjoyable. Ashley was my favorite character from the Thoroughbred series. When it switched over, I didn't enjoy it as much, and I know later on I think it ties back to Ashley and Mike, but I never got to that point, so I did enjoy reading this. And then I read The Gift by Danielle Still, and I love this book. I actually did a video on this book itself, so if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. But basically, you have this family who loses a child, and so they kind of just fall apart, and then this woman enters their life, this young woman. She's only 16, enters their life and kind of starts the healing process for them, and they help her out as well. She's going through something as well, and they really help her out. I was hooked. I read this all in one day, and just I had other things I was planning on reading, and I ignored them and just read this until I finished it. Absolutely love this one. So there's that one. Then we have Christmas After All, The Great Depression Diary of Minnie Swift, which is one of the Dear America books. This one is written by, I'll tell you here in a second, Catherine Lasky. And yeah, this one wasn't bad. She took inspiration from like her own family when writing these characters, and there was a lot of different characters which I enjoyed. Like I enjoyed the whole family, and everything. So I did enjoy this one. And then we have Julie of the Wolves by Jean Craighead George, which you have my ex, whose English name is Julie, and she ends up running away towards her pen pal in San Francisco, but she gets lost, and so in order to survive, she bonds with these wolves. And actually really enjoyed this one as well. I say actually, but like I'm surprised. I knew I was gonna enjoy that one, and I did. So next we have Ice Planet Barbarian by Ruby Dixon. This is the first in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. Again, one I picked up because when people talk about this, they seem to really enjoy it. I found it at the thrift store. There was a whole collection of these, and picked this one up, put it on here because I was thinking I needed kind of a filler book, and it's not very long. I was thinking ice makes me think winter, Christmas. And I really enjoyed this one. I ended up going back to the thrift store and getting what they had. I ordered the second one in the series because they didn't have that one at the thrift store, and I'm particularly interested in that character. And yeah, I didn't think I would like Alien, um, like spice, but I actually really, really enjoyed this. The atmosphere and everything, like really, really well done. So if you're hesitating on that one, give it a try. It might not be your thing, but you might be pleasantly surprised like I was. Then we have another Heartland Special Edition, A Winter's Gift, again by Lauren Brooke. In this one, Amy's now in college and she comes back for winter break, and her and Ty are having to help save a pregnant mare. I'm not going to say more about it than that because I don't want to spoil anything with that one. Again, it's Heartland. I just love those books. That one, I was a little bit frustrated with the characters themselves, like this, what was happening in their storyline, not with the writing or the book itself, just the characters and what was happening in their storyline. So then we have another Dear America book, When Christmas Comes Again, the World War I Diary of Simone Spencer. I really, really like this one. This one is by Beth Sadell Levine. And with this one, I actually learned some things that I didn't know about the women in the war, which I had no clue, and also physical therapy. I didn't realize physical therapy really advanced because of World War One. So that was interesting to learn about a little bit about that as well. We have Nora Roberts' The Christmas Wish, which has All I Want for Christmas and First Impressions. I read both of these. So All I Want for Christmas, you have identical twin boys, Zeke and Zach, and they want a mom and a wife for their dad this year. That's all they want from Santa, and they are trying to convince their dad that their music teacher is somebody he should take interest in. Their music teacher is named Nell. And then First Impressions, you have Vance, and he's kind of owns like this big construction company, and something happens, and so he's just seeking solitude and ends up buying this house, and he's restoring it. And his neighbor Shane, he has no interest in her, and he's kind of rude to her and such. And then of course the feelings develop. So both of those were really fun and perfect to read for Christmas. Then we have one of my favorites. Well, not my favorite. It didn't win that spot, but one of my favorite is The Christmas Shoes by Donna Van Meer. This is based on the song by The Christmas Shoes by New Song, which is absolutely one of my favorite Christmas songs. So basically, you have this one's following three different people. You have this little boy whose mother is really sick and is gonna pass away sometime around the Christmas holiday. Then you have this other guy who he's all about work and earning the money and hasn't really taken time to connect with his family. And he has a run in with this little boy that kind of opens his eyes. And then also, which the teacher isn't part of the song, but I'm glad this author added it to the book because it really helped flesh it out. So it has like the teacher's perspective as well. So really, really good, really sad and heartbreaking though. So if you're gonna read this, definitely keep that in mind going into it because it deals with illness and death and such. Then my favorite of the month is The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivy. So this is based on a Russian folk tale about the snow child that comes to life. This childless couple makes a snow child and that comes to life. It's based on that, and that's included within this story. And so this takes place in Alaska in 1920, and you have Jack and Mabel, and they haven't been able to have children. There is child loss and such in this one um, as well. So keep that in mind. And so it's kind of very heavy, but it's so enjoyable as well. And so they end up building this child out of snow, and then this girl appears. And though it's kind of, different seasons with her. So when, she's first younger, and then it kind of jumps ahead and such until she's a young woman. And yeah, I adore this book. I can see myself reading this each year for the winter season. So then we have the Boxcar Children Winter Special, The Mystery on Ice. This is by Gertrude Chandler Warner. And so you have Henry, Jesse, Violet, and Benny. And they have some special news from their cousins, Joe and Alice, and then a figure skating troupe comes to town, and a blizzard too. Not too long afterward, a house nearby is burglarized, and the evidence seems to point to the skaters. Once again, the boxcar children find themselves investigating a mystery. And this was, fun and enjoyable. Um, so I did enjoy that one, even though that one actually earned my least favorite of the month, just because everything else was so amazing, and I didn't include the ones I partially read or my DNFs. And so out of all the ones I fully read, that one was bottom of the barrel, but I did enjoy it. And then we have another Nora Roberts, Christmas with You. This has Gabriel's Angel, which I have read before, and then Home for Christmas. So, Gabriel's Angel, you have Gabriel Bradley, and again, he just wants solitude. Something happened in his life, and he's just seeking solitude. And a woman ends up at his remote cabin during a blizzard, desperate, alone, and on the run. And she's very, very pregnant. So, kind of stranded together. I really enjoy that story every time I read it. And then Home for Christmas. After years spent abroad, reporter Jason Law returns home, determined to win back the heart of the girl he left behind. He's going to take all his skill and then some to convince Faith Monroe that he's the man for her. But when it comes to forgiveness doesn't come so easily, and he's not the only one who made mistakes. Can Jason and Faith settle their past to find the future they always dreamed of? And I don't remember reading that one. I really enjoyed it though, because yeah, Faith has a secret of her own that kind of affects their potential to reconnect. So there's that one. And then the last two, we have Raggedy Ann and Andy, Giant Treasury by Johnny Gruelle. This was so much fun. Like, the pictures in it, and it has 4 adventures plus 12 short stories. So this was a lot of fun. And it had, like, I got this from a museum estate sale, and it had like the little newspaper article about how Raggedy Ann and Andy came about, which was really interesting to learn. So, um, really did enjoy this one and reading it. So there's that. And then last but not least, I read the very first day of the month was the Family Read Aloud Christmas Treasury. This had selections by Alice Lowe and illustrations by Mark Brown. So you can see there, colored in it because I was looking. I think actually my nieces did that, but whatever the case may be. And so it has just a bunch of different collections of stories and poems and such. My favorite is The Elves and the Shoemaker, and of course, um, you have, I think its original title was A Visit from St. Nicholas, yeah, which is, in here is how it's titled, but everybody knows it as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading all those stories and getting in the festive spirit. So that is it as far as what I read this month. Like I said, I read 21 books in full, 4 of the stories from the anthology collections I had. Um, and I just actually technically 5 because First Snow I only read partial. So I only read the first story in that one. So yeah, 5 stories from the anthology collections for 21 books in full, and really really a great month overall, and a lot of books I really really enjoyed. So that is it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you here. Let me know your favorite read from December and from the year in whole. Like, what book really stands out to you? And yeah, happy reading, everyone. Bye.